Hi, and welcome to Craft Along with Jay. My name is Yetta, and I'm so happy you could join me today. Yet again, it's time for something really fun, the What Would You Make challenge. I love this challenge because I love working with wood. The hosts are Rustic and Lace DIY, Divine Designs, and the guest host is Marika Creations. And when you're done with this video, don't forget to go down to my description box and check out the playlist. All right, project number one. You're going to need three of these little crates. They're the drawers from the crates. Does that make sense? That's the crates, and these are the drawers you pull out, and I'm just using the drawers with the hearts on them. And I'm going to use Type Bond wood glue, and I'm going to glue them all together on the sides. And I'm just going to brush it all out so we get a really nice good hold. And we're going to use some of the clamps to hold it in place, like that. And then we're going to let that sit and dry for a little bit until it's adhered enough that we can continue working on it. And then I'm going to use the antique wax, and I'm going to give it a good waxing, just like that. More like a stain than a wax. Then I cut out these three little pieces of fabric, and we're going to glue those on the inside to cover up the heart shape. So I'm just trying to make sure that they all fit nicely. So I have two with the purple flowers, and then I have one with some greenery, and the one with the greenery will be in the middle. And I'm just going to use Mod Podge to adhere the fabric pieces. And I'll go around a little heart shape and then attach it, and then I'll go over with some more Mod Podge on top of the fabric just to hold it in place. And I'll do the same thing with the other two. I want to thank you so much for clicking on my video. I hope you like it, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I certainly hope that you will. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. And to my current subscribers, I appreciate you very much. And I'm so happy that you're joining me today. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. Very nice. And then I'm going to take some of my floral foam, and I'm just going to kind of cut it to fit into each little crate, just like so. I have enough for two crates here, and I'll get another one and cut a piece for the last one as well. There we go. And here, all three of them have some floral foam, and then I got these butterfly florals from the Dollar Tree, and I got these pretty purple blue flowers from Dollar General. And I'm just gonna cut them down a little bit because they're way too long. I still want them long, but not that long. So I'm just gonna cut each stem off, and that will be the length that we're gonna be working with. And that will be one stem, or three stems from one pig in each crate. And I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm putting them in like this right now, but I end up rearranging it so many times just to get the right look. So you're just gonna have to play around with it, kind of however you want it to look. Sometimes you don't really know till you get everything in place and kind of figure out the fullness and how you want the look to be. And I do the same thing with my butterfly. Pick, cut down the stems, and I think there's like two stems for each crate. And I'm just gonna add them in there. See, I'm already rearranging. So like when you add them in, you kind of want to fluff it out, have it even look. So it's not like a cluster of just one thing. And here I felt like all the butterflies on the back, so we kind of rearrange some things again. Just keep going until we're happy. And then I take some reindeer moss and I'm gonna put that on top of the foam, the floral foam in the crates just to cover it up because it is visible. So it just looks like there's some grass and moss in there. Gives it a nice little touch, a nice look. This is what that looks like. And that's project number one. Project number two, and these are the crates that the drawers came out of. And then two of those, and then we're gonna have eight of the beads, and we're gonna stain everything. And once we've done that, I got these two flowers. I'm pretty sure they're from Walmart, and I got this napkin, and I think that's from the Dollar Tree. I've had it for a few years, and I'm gonna brush on some Mod Podge on my flowers. I got a little bit too much, so I'm wiping it off on the other one. And I'm wiping around the edges of the flower to get the excess Mod Podge off. Then I do the same thing for the other one. And then we're gonna sit that to the side and dry. And once it's dry, we'll get our napkin out, get a little bit of tape, two pieces. Then we'll attach one to the front and one to the back, and that's how we can separate the plies. There's only two plies to this one. Well, one ply. Yep, like that. I'm gonna separate it, and then we're gonna figure out the placement on our little flowers. And I'm not sure why I started in the middle instead of using using the flower at the edge, but I went straight for the middle. And I don't even have an answer why I did that. But I save every piece of the napkin regardless, and I reuse it. But it would make more sense to have used the sides before the middle. But oh well. And I'm just gonna use my heat press and iron it, the napkin down. And I'm just making sure that it's adhered to the edge as well. And then I cut it out. And then I do the same thing to the other one. And I wanted a little bit different colors on that one, some different flowers. And we'll put that aside or use that some other time. And then I'm going to sand around the edge of the flower. Now this little finger sander does not go all the way in the creases of the flowers. So we'll take that little sanding piece off of that sanding block like that. And then we'll just go in between. It'll go all the way in. And then that takes care of that. And I do the same thing for the other one as well. There we go. And then once that's done, then I'm gonna hot glue the beads to the side of the box, the crate. So the opening's to the side. It's not on the bottom, it's to the side. And then I'm gonna hot glue those on just to give it a little bit of height. And you can see how it's standing on the beads now and the opening is on the side. And I do the other one the same way. Getting all these extra hot glue strings off. And then once that's done, I'm gonna get a hot mess string of fairy lights, and I'm just gonna shove it into that box. And the switch I'm gonna glue to the bottom of the crate. And here I'm trying to figure out where the opening is if I need to replace a little battery in there. So I'm hot gluing the right side down onto the crate so I can open it without having to take it apart. Just add a little bit of hot glue, like so. And then just stuff the little lights back in there. Get my flower. And just figure out the placement. I have a little opening at the bottom, and that's where the little wire for the fairy lights to the switch is. So it's mostly out of sight. And then I'm just trying to remember where I need to glue because I'm going to pull it up and remember where I need to add the hot glue to my flower. So I think I kind of judged it pretty well because it's still sitting on there. It hasn't fallen off. So I did pretty good. There we go. And I'm just going to hold it down to make sure that it's drying. So that way it's definitely not falling off when I flip it over. And here, turn on the lights. That's what it looks like. And I'll do the same thing to the other one. And here they both are. They turn out so gorgeous, especially at nighttime when it's dark. It's so pretty. All right, project number 3. I got this little wooden home sign, the napkin that we used before, and a wood plank from the Dollar Tree that I had already stained with antique wax. And I have already added some Mod Podge to my wooden home sign, and it's dry. And look, here I go to the opposite end of my napkin. It's just so random how I use this napkin. That's like no rhyme or reason to how this is done. But I decided to do this one sideways because that way I could get part of the flowers all the way across. And that works out really well. Now take my parchment paper and put it on top. And then I'll go ahead and use my little mini heat press and iron it on. It will activate the Mod Podge and adhere the napkin without any wrinkles, which is super nice. Sometimes I like wrinkles, especially if I want to age something, but here I didn't want any wrinkles, so this works really well. And here again, I'm just making sure that the napkin is covered all the way to the edges. And then the same method as we did before with the sanding. And this one had so many more creases and openings into the letters than the other one did, so this took a little bit longer. Once that's done, I'll take some Mod Podge and I'll just give it a very light coating on top of my sign to seal in the napkin. And I use my little fan brush. I really like the fan brush for this part. And just very lightly, so that way you're not wrinkling up the paper, or the napkin, I should say. And once that's done, I am gonna hot glue it to the wood piece, and I'm just gonna put glue under the H and the E. Yeah, and my hot glue wasn't warm enough yet. It wasn't ready because I had turned it on too late. So while that's heating up, I'm gonna cut down these flowers, and I got a whole bag of these little flowers from my mother-in-law, and I'm so thankful because they're so pretty and there's so much I can do with them. But anyway, so I'm using some of them here. Or I'm thinking about using some of them here. I need your help. Let me know something, but I'll let you know when we get to that point. All right, my hot glue is ready, so I'm going to glue on the H on the E. The rest of the letters do not touch the wood plank, so there was no point in putting hot glue there. So I just did on the raised part, or the parts that would touch the wood plank. So that would be the H and the E. And I'm just going to hold that in place. And then it's time to play around with my little flowers, my little roses. Trying to figure out where they are. Making sure I'm not covering up all the letters in the front. So I'm pretty determined with that one over by the H, because the H is so big and it's not covering up the H. You can see what letter it is, whereas the other ones you can't really tell once the flower's going front. So you'll see in a minute. I'm going to be playing around with them for a little bit. So that's what it looks like with one, and I like that look a lot. I think it's so pretty. And then, yeah, here I start playing around, and here I'm putting them in front. I decided that's not going to work because you can't really see the word. So we'll try on the back side. So here's what I need your help. I'll show you here in a second what it looks like with them in the back. I haven't hot glued anything down. So tell me if I should hot glue this down on the back like that, or if I should just keep it at that one that you see in the front, like so. Let me know down in this comment section down below. All right, project number 4. We got all these beads. There's some light blue, purplish beads, some white ones, and some pink ones. And it kind of ties in all the projects together, all the colors that's involved. And I'm just going to use a jute twine string, and I'm going to start stringing them. I think I start with one of the blue purple one, a white and a pink, and then I repeat that till I have all the beads. And I believe I have 30 beads total. So 10 of each color. And here I'm running into a little bit of problems that it's unraveling it on the edge of the jute twine. So I'm just using a little masking tape and wrapping it around. And then it's so much easier to string. So, yeah, these are very quick, very easy to do, but yet they turn out super cute, especially when you put it all together, which you'll see in the finished view. All right, and here's the last one, and that's what that looks like. And then I had these two tassels from some other um, beaded garland strings that I had, but I never used it. I used the beads, but not the tassels. So I'm going to use it for this one. So that kind of worked out well. And I'm just going to do a double knot here and then cut off the excess. And then I'll do the same thing at the other end. But because my string is getting a little short, I was running into some problems. So here I had to get a little masking tape around, and it made it also easier to tie a knot. But I couldn't pull it all the way through, so I need a little tool to help me here. But that worked. We cut the excess off, kind of fix it up a little bit, and that's what my beaded garland looks like. And here's the finished view. Let me know what you think. I love it. I think it's so cozy. I want to thank you all so much for clicking on my video today, and you made it all the way to the end with me. It means a lot to me. And don't forget, if you haven't done so, please subscribe, like, and comment. I would really appreciate it. Until next time.